Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I'm going to be reacting to Would You Rather Decide to Survive, which was released as a box set on Prime Video. But before I do, I'm recording this episode on Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2026. This is the first episode that I'm recording in July 2026. Not the first that you'll be listening or watching to, more listening because YouTube is having a temper tantrum at the moment with me uploading all the audio episodes. So some of them are uploading fine and some of them aren't, so we're just having to bear with it. I don't know what's going on with that, but they're still on the audio platform, and when I have time, I will try and figure out why they're being a pain and not being on YouTube like they should be. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to be reacting to Would You Rather Decide to Survive, which basically is a real life version of Would You Rather. So before I spoil the events of Would You Rather Decide to Survive and talk about each episode, here's the trailer.
We've all played Would You Rather, hypothetically, but for the very first time, we are playing it for real. Bye-bye! Come on! Would you rather be invisible or fly?
I thought Would You Rather was a card game. I didn't have the facilities for this.
Two-hander. Now you're being filmed, yeah?
That was the trailer for Would You Rather Decide to Survive, which is a shorter trailer than other trailers, as you will see over the next few episodes. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, obviously the YouTube episode release order is now the same as the audio release order-ish. For these episodes they will be. But when you're seeing this episode, just a reminder that July 2026 is the final month of the animated episodes, which won't be going anywhere. It's just I've decided that I've made the podcast audio only. Go and watch/listen to the currently listen, because I think that's one of the episodes that isn't available on YouTube. Podcast update, which is available now, where that will explain everything. But I'm not going to reiterate it. But yeah, let's talk about Would You Rather Decide to Survive, which just showed you the trailer for. We've got a synopsis, which reads: Romesh Ranganathan hosts 10 UK online stars playing Would You Rather for real. Fiendish dilemmas decide everything from hilarious supersized games to how they eat and sleep. There's no right decision, but making the least worst choice could guarantee survival in the game. Not literally. You've played it hypothetically, now they're playing it for real, and only one will be crowned champion. Now, I should mention that all episodes were released on the 26th of June, 2026, which was... It was last Thursday, is that right? Yeah, 29th, 30th. Yeah, so 22nd. With the first episode titled This or That. Romesh chooses his two teams, and the consequences of their decisions make life awkward from the start. The competition intensifies with the first supersized Would You Rather challenge. The winners have first choice in the rest of the day's decisions, including how they freshen up after getting sticky and slippy, and who will face deciding Would You Rather. Winner stays, loser goes. So this episode kind of starts with Romesh introducing how the show works, and then interviewing the contestants and deciding which team's going to be on which, who's going to be on which team, rather, depend upon how they voted and how they sleep. And so I think the one of the ones I can remember from this one is one team, I can't remember which way around it is, one team has duvets but no mattress, and the other team has mattress but no duvet. Personally, I'd go the mattress not duvet. Actually, last week, as of time of recording, when it was really warm, like 30 degrees, I was doing that anyway, whereas, no mattress is no. The only time I don't have a mattress is when I'm camping, really. I can't remember what this supersized challenge is. So let's move on to episode 2, titled Wind or Rain. It's an epic battle of ducks and wills when Romesh puts an age-old Would You Rather question to the teams, and the game claims its first victim as artistic interpretation sends someone packing. Lunch is served, but of course there's a catch, so who will weather it best? Meanwhile, the winning team has another hard decision to make, with one player directly in their firing line. Oh, I should mention in episode 1, team this win, and then episodes 2 and 3, I think, team that win. It kind of is an interesting, because the kind of how they there's a cliffhanger for each episode. So sometimes it's who's won, sometimes it's who's going home, sometimes it's what's the decider going to be. Obviously the finale has no cliffhanger, but this one, yes, is a duck-related challenge, which Team Latin, where they collect small ducks, because they kind of have to run to a lever, and whoever wins gets to choose who's first, really. And they choose small ducks. The team this to get big ducks lose, so one of them has to go home. And the first decider actually takes place at the start of this episode with Max Fosh and I can't remember the person who went out in having to paint, but with a catch. So Max Fosh does it with his feet, and the other one has to do it blindfolded. So yeah, it's one of those. We then move on to episode 3, titled Singled Out. Surprises are in store for the team challenger. Max Belagde takes the lead for Team Nat, but will it pay off? Two of the game's most competitive players go head-to-head in an insect-themed decider, and Nala and Chunks face their own tricky question that has no right answer. So I should mention that kind of, I think it was in this episode that there was some side would you rathers later on that kind of don't involve the entire cast. And the challenge in this one is basically a format to the end of a game show, and actually steps into episode 4, which I'll get to in a minute. With would you rather have the mind of a 7-year-old or an 87-year-old? And team, as I mentioned before, Team That win, so they don't have to do that. We then move on to episode 4, titled Hooves or Talons. But before I do an episode 2, I forgot to mention there's an eating thing, and you can either eat whilst it's raining or eat whilst it's windy. Obviously, none's preferable, but We then move on to episode 4, titled Hooves or Talons. Everyone has a favourite condiment, but the game proves that maybe you can have too much of a good thing. Two players must face the music in a lyrical decider that features the whole team. And it's a sleepless night for both teams, thanks to Would You Rather. So in this episode, the decider is kind of, they have to, all of Team This are involved. The two people that are in the decider and the other two have to try and guess, and that's how they songs whilst you've got water in your mouth, which was no, it wasn't. It was sour milk, and what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was. It was something even worse. So we move on to episode 5, titled Invisible or Fly. With the end in sight, both teams are fighting for their lives as they take on superpowers. Some special guests make a not entirely welcome appearance, and two players go head-to-head in a shocking battle to reach the final. So Team This kind of return with their winning ways, I think, in this episode. No, episode 4, and then we kind of have the decider with Max Belegdi and Chloe Burrows. Chloe loses because they have to. It's a general knowledge quiz, but Max chooses to be electric shocked, whereas Chloe gets sprayed with water. And we thought that Chloe was going to win by some considerable margin, and then Max makes some sort of comeback. We then move on, and Jen would appear in this episode as well, as that they're the special guests. Someone's handcuffed to them, and the other team have to. The other member of Jedward has to repeat everything that someone says, which gets on the person that shows its nerves. We then move into the finale, titled Win or Lose. It's the climax of the competition, and the final 6 players must face the ultimate Would You Rather knockout, a series of classic Would You Rather questions. Only one of them will be crowned champion, but who will take the win for either Team This or Team That? So yes, the final 6, this is where the show kind of goes a bit left field, because it ends up being what was I going to say? Yes, it goes from being teams to individuals about who's going to win, and kind of it's a knockout. So each time, one or two people get knocked out in a variety of challenges, and then we end up with Max Fosh and who is it? Stephen Tries. With Chunks coming in 3rd place after a hot or cold challenge, which I watched it. I was like, I'm glad I'm not doing that one. Some of them weren't too bad, but like that one was like no, and Max Fosh, who spoiler alert, I should have said spoilers at the start. Spoiler alert, ends up winning the show because basically the winner is decided by everyone who's been eliminated have to vote unanimously, so agreeing who they want to win, and they kind of take teams out of it, and Max Splash wins, which is out of the two. I wouldn't have minded who won, they were the two of the people that I wanted to get to the final. And yeah, they did. So yeah, that's kind of it. So let me know what you thought of Would You Rather Decide to Survive if you watched it. My recap if you didn't. And without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.